I need to talk to you about something that's keeping me up at night. There's a new rule taking effect in 2026 that's already stranding thousands of travelers over 65 at airports across America. And the worst part? Most people don't even know it exists until they're standing at the TSA checkpoint watching their flight take off without them. I've spent 15 years working in the galley. 15 years handing out blankets, serving meals, and watching passengers board. And lately, I've been watching seniors get pulled out of line, hit with surprise fees, and in some cases, denied boarding entirely. Not because they did anything wrong, but because nobody warned them about rules that went into effect while they were busy living their lives. Let me tell you about a woman I'll call Dorothy, 72 years old, flying to Phoenix to meet her new grandson for the first time. She arrived at the airport 2 hours early, did everything right, and was stopped cold at security because her driver's license didn't have a little gold star in the corner. She had no idea what that star meant. She had no idea it mattered. She missed that flight, had to pay a $45 fee plus reschedule, and didn't meet her grandson until 2 days later. That story guts me, because Dorothy's situation was completely preventable if someone had just told her what to expect. If you want more insider knowledge that could save your next trip, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button right now. I'm building a community of informed travelers, and I don't want you to miss a single tip. Here's what's coming. I'm going to walk you through 8 things every traveler over 65 absolutely needs to know before flying in 2026. These aren't suggestions. These are new requirements, hidden accommodations, and insider strategies that could mean the difference between making your flight and missing it. Let's dive in. Here's what most people don't realize. Starting February 1st, 2026, if you show up at the TSA checkpoint without a real ID or an acceptable alternative, you're going to pay for it. Literally. The TSA has introduced a $45 fee called TSA Confirm ID. And that fee doesn't just cost you money, it costs you time. Here's how it works. If your license doesn't have that little gold star in the corner, you'll be pulled aside and directed to a separate verification process. You'll pay $45, either online beforehand or at the airport. And then you'll wait. 10 minutes if you're lucky. 30 minutes or more if you're not. I've already heard stories of seniors missing flights because they didn't know this fee existed until they were standing in line. Now, here's the insider truth. Most seniors renewed their driver's license years ago, maybe 8 years ago, maybe 10. And back then, nobody asked if you wanted a real ID. Nobody explained what that star meant. So you walked out with a standard license and never thought about it again. Until now. Here's exactly what you need to do. Take out your driver's license right now. Look at the top right corner. Do you see a gold star? Maybe a star inside a circle or inside an outline of your state? That's the real ID marker. If you see it, you're fine. If you don't see it, you have a decision to make. You can visit your DMV and apply for a real ID, but fair warning, appointments are booking out weeks in advance, and the temporary paper license they give you is not accepted by TSA. You need the actual card in your hand. Remember Dorothy from the beginning of this video? This is exactly what happened to her. No star on her license, no warning. $45 and 2 days later, she finally met her grandson. Don't let that be you. Check your ID today. Now here's the good news. You don't actually need a real ID to fly. There are alternatives most seniors don't know about, and you might already have one in your wallet. Let me tell you about the best-kept secret in domestic travel. The U.S. passport card. It's wallet-sized, just like your driver's license. It costs $65 for first-time applicants, or just $30 to renew. And it's valid for 10 years. That breaks down to just $6.50 per year. Here's the thing. A passport card works at every single TSA checkpoint in America. You don't need the full passport book for domestic flights. The card does the job. And unlike a real ID, you can apply by mail if you already have a passport book. But there's more. If you have a valid U.S. passport book, that works too. Global Entry Card? Works. Nexus or Sentry Card? Works. Military ID, active or retired? Works. Even tribal-issued photo ID is accepted. Here's what you say when you apply. Call any passport acceptance facility or visit travel.state.gov and say, I'd like to apply for a passport card for domestic travel identification. That's it. Simple. Think of it as travel insurance you keep in your wallet. For the cost of 2 fancy coffees a year, you never have to worry about real ID deadlines, DMV appointments, or surprise fees ever again. That's not just convenient, that's peace of mind. Now let's talk about something that could completely change your airport experience. If you're 75 or older, TSA has specific accommodations designed just for you. But here's the problem. They almost never announce them. Most seniors have no idea these policies exist, so they struggle through the same stressful screening process as everyone else. They don't have to. Here's the insider truth. TSA considers travelers 75 and older lower risk through what they call risk-based intelligence-driven security. That's fancy language for a simple reality. You've earned some accommodations, and they're yours to use. Here's what you're entitled to. If you're 75 or older, you can keep your shoes on during standard screening. You can keep your light jacket on too. And if you need to remain seated during any part of the process, you have the right to request that. These aren't favors. This is official TSA policy that's been in place since 2012. Here's exactly what you do. When you approach the security checkpoint, tell the TSA officer, "I'm 75 or older and I'd like to keep my shoes on." That's it. They'll direct you through. If you need to stay seated, say, "I need to remain seated for screening due to mobility limitations." They will accommodate you. Now there's one thing you should know. If you set off the alarm during screening, they may still ask you to remove your shoes for additional inspection. That's normal. Don't panic. You can also request an additional pass through the scanner to try to resolve the issue before a pat-down. Just say, "May I have an additional pass through the scanner?" Here's why this matters. Nobody should have to struggle with laces while trying to balance in a crowded security line. Nobody should feel rushed or embarrassed because they move a little slower than the person behind them. These accommodations exist so you can move through security with dignity. You've earned that. Use it. But what if you need more help than just keeping your shoes on? What if you're traveling with a pacemaker, hearing aids, a CPAP machine, or other medical equipment? What if you just want someone to guide you through the whole process? That's where most people have no idea there's a resource waiting for them. TSA operates a dedicated helpline called TSA Cares. It's specifically designed for travelers with disabilities, medical conditions, and seniors who need extra assistance, and almost nobody knows it exists. Here's what happens when you call. TSA Cares can arrange for a passenger support specialist to meet you at the security checkpoint. This is a trained professional whose entire job is to help you navigate screening smoothly. They'll answer your questions, handle any concerns about medical equipment, and make sure you're treated with respect throughout the process. Here's exactly what you do. Call 1-855-787-2227 at least 72 hours before your flight. That's 1-855-787-2227. The line is open weekdays from 8 in the morning to 11 at night Eastern Time, and weekends from 9 to 8. When you call, say this. "I'm calling to request assistance for my flight on this date. I'm a senior traveler and I have a pacemaker," or whatever your specific situation is. "Can you arrange for a passenger support specialist at my departure airport?" They'll take your information and coordinate everything. When you arrive at security, someone will be there specifically to help you. This service is completely free. It costs you nothing but a phone call. And that one call can transform a stressful experience into a smooth one. The people who answer are trained specifically to help travelers like you. That's their entire purpose. Let them do their job. Let me tell you something that most travelers never hear. Under federal law, airlines are required to let passengers who need extra time or assistance board before everyone else. This is called pre-boarding, and it's protected by the Air Carrier Access Act. But here's the problem. Airlines rarely announce it clearly, and many seniors feel embarrassed to ask for something they don't realize they're entitled to. Let me give you the insider perspective from 15 years in the galley. We want you to pre-board. The crew actually prefers it. When you board early, we can help you get settled, stow your bag, and make sure you're comfortable before 200 other passengers start crowding down the aisle. It's safer for you. It's easier for us. And it keeps the whole boarding process moving smoothly for everyone. Here's what qualifies you for pre-boarding. You don't need a doctor's note. You don't need to prove anything. You just need to self-identify at the gate as someone who needs extra time. Maybe you walk a little slower than you used to. Maybe you need help with the overhead bin. Maybe you just feel more comfortable getting settled before the rush begins. All of those are valid reasons. Here's exactly what you do. Arrive at your gate about 30 to 40 minutes before departure, before boarding begins. Approach the gate agent and say, "I'd like to request pre-boarding because I need extra time to get settled." That's all. No justification required. No guilty feelings. The agent will let you board right after active military and families with small children. I once watched a couple in their early 70s wait for their regular boarding group to be called. The husband was using a cane. By the time they made it down the aisle, he was exhausted. He nearly fell trying to lift their carry-on into the overhead bin, while passengers stacked up behind him. If they had just asked to pre-board, I would have been right there to help them. No rush, no crowd, no stress. Please ask. We're here for you. Now let's talk about wheelchair assistance, because this trips people up more than almost anything else. Many seniors don't realize you need to request wheelchair assistance in advance, ideally 48 hours before your flight. And if you don't, you might end up waiting 30 minutes or more at the airport for a wheelchair to become available. Here's why. Airlines contract with third-party companies to provide wheelchair service. Those companies staff based on how many passengers have requested assistance ahead of time. If you show up without a reservation, you're essentially hoping someone is free. And during busy travel times, they often aren't. Here's the insider truth you need to hear. Wheelchair assistance is free on every U.S. airline. Free. It's required by the Air Carrier Access Act. The service covers everything: curb to gate to plane, connections between flights, and deplaning to baggage claim at your destination. You should never feel like you're imposing or asking for a favor. This service exists specifically because travelers like you need it. Here's exactly what to do. When you book your ticket online, look for the section called Special Assistance or Accessibility Services. Check the box for wheelchair assistance. If you've already booked, call the airline and say, "I have a flight on this date, and I need to add wheelchair assistance to my reservation." Be specific about what you need. Say, "I need wheelchair assistance from check-in to the gate and from the gate to baggage claim on arrival." Airports are massive. Gates are far. Connections are tight. You've spent a lifetime taking care of everyone else. Now let someone take care of you. Requesting help isn't weakness. It's wisdom. Now let's clear up some confusion about traveling with medications, because I've seen this cause more stress and delays than almost anything else. Many seniors believe they absolutely must keep every single pill in its original pharmacy bottle or TSA will confiscate them. That's not entirely true. But there are specific situations where documentation really does matter, and getting this wrong can turn a simple screening into a 20-minute ordeal. Here's the insider truth. TSA does not require your pills to be in original prescription bottles for domestic flights. Officially, you can use a pill organizer. However, and this is important, state laws vary. And for controlled substances like pain medications, anti-anxiety drugs, or sleep aids, having that original labeled bottle can save you a lot of hassle if questions come up. The label proves the medication belongs to you and was legally prescribed. Liquid medications are a different story. If you're traveling with insulin, liquid antibiotics, or any medically necessary liquid over 3.4 ounces, you're allowed to bring it, but you must declare it at the checkpoint. Don't just toss it in your bag and hope nobody notices. That's when problems happen. Here's exactly what you do. When you reach the TSA officer, say this clearly. "I have medically necessary liquids in my bag that exceed 3.4 ounces. They'll pull your bag aside and test the liquids. It takes an extra 2 minutes. That's it. No drama if you handle it proactively. For your pills, keep controlled substances in their original bottles if possible. If space is tight, bring the original bottles plus a printed copy of your prescriptions as backup. And here's the most important rule of all. Keep every medication in your carry-on, never in checked luggage. Never. Checked bags get delayed. Checked bags get lost. Your heart medication cannot get lost. Your insulin cannot be stuck on a different plane. Carry-on only. Always. Now let's talk about CPAP machines and portable oxygen concentrators. If you depend on one of these devices, you might be wondering whether you can even bring it on a plane. The answer is yes, but there are specific rules you need to know so you don't get held up at security or denied boarding. Here's the good news. CPAP machines and FAA-approved portable oxygen concentrators are allowed on all U.S. flights with 19 or more seats. And here's something most people don't realize. These medical devices do not count against your carry-on limit. Your CPAP bag is separate. You're still entitled to your regular carry-on and personal item. Here's what you need to do for your CPAP. Remove it from the carrying case for X-ray screening. The face mask and tubing can stay inside the case. Place the device in a clear plastic bag for easier inspection. That's the whole process. For portable oxygen concentrators, it's a little more involved. Your device must be FAA approved. Look for a red label on the device that says the manufacturer has determined it meets all FAA acceptance criteria. If you see that label, you're cleared for any U.S. flight. Airlines may require 48 hours advance notice if you plan to use the concentrator during the flight, so call ahead. Here's the critical part. You must carry enough batteries to power your device for 150% of your total flight time. That includes potential delays. If your flight is 4 hours, bring batteries for 6. If you have a connection, factor in the entire journey. When you call the airline, say this: "I'll be using a portable oxygen concentrator during my flight, and I want to confirm it's on your approved list." At security, simply say, "I have a portable oxygen concentrator with FAA approval." These devices are your lifeline. Now you know exactly how to travel with them. Before we wrap up, if you found this helpful and you want to make sure you never miss insider information that could save your next trip, hit that subscribe button right now. Seriously, I'm putting out new videos every week with secrets the airlines and airports don't want you to know. Your one click helps me reach more travelers who need this information. All right, let's do a quick recap of everything we covered today. We talked about the new $45 TSA Confirm ID fee that starts February 1st, 2026. And how showing up without proper ID can now cost you money and cause delays of up to 30 minutes. We covered real ID alternatives you might already have in your wallet, like that passport card that costs just $65 and lasts 10 years. We went through TSA screening accommodations for travelers 75 and older, including keeping your shoes on and remaining seated during screening. We talked about the TSA Cares helpline, that's 1-855-787-2227, and how calling 72 hours before your flight can get you a dedicated specialist to guide you through security. We covered your pre-boarding rights under federal law and the exact words to say at the gate to exercise them. We talked about wheelchair assistance, why you need to request it 48 hours in advance, and the fact that it's completely free on every U.S. airline. We went through medication rules, the truth about pill organizers, how to declare liquid medications over 3.4 ounces, and why your prescriptions should never, ever go in checked luggage. And finally, we covered CPAP and oxygen equipment rules, including battery requirements and the specific phrases to use at security. That's 8 things that could mean the difference between a smooth flight and a nightmare at the airport. Here's one more bonus tip before I let you go. If you're over 65 and flying alone, tell your flight attendant during boarding. Just say, "Hi, I'm traveling alone today and wanted to let you know in case I need any assistance." That simple sentence puts you on our radar. If there's turbulence, if there's an emergency, if you need help reaching the overhead bin or finding the lavatory, we'll know to check on you. We're not going to hover, but we'll be there if you need us. You've spent your whole life taking care of everyone else. Now it's time to let someone take care of you. These accommodations exist because you deserve them. You've earned them. Don't be too proud to use them. I want to hear from you. What's your biggest concern about flying in 2026? Is it the ID requirements, the security lines, bringing your medications? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every single one, and your questions help me create content that actually serves you. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss an insider secret. I've got videos coming up on how to handle flight cancellations, what to do if your wheelchair gets damaged, and more crew secrets airlines don't want you to know. Thank you so much for flying with me today. I'm Lucy, and I'll see you in the next video.